disappointment of the past is gone. The 45-year drought is over. The Los Angeles Kings are indeed the kings of the National Hockey League. They are the 2012 Stanley Cup champions.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another post-game live here on Dime Dropper. It's been a minute. I got sick. I've been really busy with a lot of things, and I just haven't been able to go live. I've still been producing content for Locked On Clippers, so if you really want my Clipper analysis on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, check out Locked On Clippers on the Locked On Network and on YouTube. But, of course, make sure you're tapped. I'm still posting videos, though. I hope you guys have been checking them out. Vlogs for I've been going to so many games lately. That one video where I went to a Laker game and a Clipper game, same within a 24-hour span, that one was a classic. You got to check that one out. And then recently, the Philly and the Milwaukee vlogs. The Philly and the Indiana vlogs. Those are really interesting, including Indiana, which had probably the best post-game thoughts, post-game outside the arena interview of the season with that drunken lunatic. That was hilarious. So please go check all that out. That video is almost at 1,000. Let's get it up to 1,000. We are getting close to playoff time, Dime Dropper fam. So it's time to kick it into gear. And you know what that means? It means I'm kicking into gear, and y'all better start watching because this is quality. You know what I mean? And eventually, years down the line, we're going to have a library of every year of basketball. Can you believe what we're creating here? So appreciate y'all. As always, live from Los Angeles. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime for your boy. Any donation is appreciated. Remember to follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Dime Dropper Pod. And, of course, subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video. Now, LA's favorite kind of night tonight, 2 W's, 1 for each squad. Although as much as it pains me to say, the Lakers are playing much better than we are right now. But considering our game was on ESPN, and I am a Clipper fan, we are going to start with the game of the night, and that was James Harden's return to Philly. Now, if you are only here for the Laker part of the episode, go check out the timestamp in the comment section below, and you can just listen to the Laker part. But let's get into it, right? I haven't gotten to properly talk to you guys. So the Clippers are playing like absolute dog shit lately. We look so old. We look so slow. It looks like everything I was saying about the Harden trade is coming true, but just so late in the season. We look uninspired and tired, and our legs run out as games go on. But we still got 11 games to make it right. We're not going to get a top 3 seed, which is what I said was the requirement to win a championship or to be in the discussion for real. And in my opinion, we have failed there. We have failed, and we're not going to get it. So the best that we can do now is to just close the season with momentum and go into it with some confidence as we play a very good team in the first round, because this Western Conference is, in my opinion, the best Western Conference since 2014-15. And that was a pretty damn great Western Conference. We played the defending champion Spurs in the first round, and we were the 3 seed. We're not going to finish 3. We're going to have a dogfight in the first round, no matter who it's against, and we need to be in good form going into that. So, to me, the key is our big 3 just stepping it up. And in this game, they did, but it wasn't perfect for any of them. Not at all, especially Kawhi Leonard, who had one of his roughest shooting games that I can remember seeing through about 3/4 of the game. It was brutal. I mean, he's been cold from 3 for a couple of weeks, but the chippies that he was missing inside the foul line, I was like, this is not normal. This is not normal in any way. So Kawhi going into the fourth quarter was 3 for 15. The dude was bricking everything. But here's what's so great about Kawhi, and here's what's so great about a lot of the best players in NBA history. They might be bricking shots, but they're still finding a way to impact the game in other ways. Defensively, on the glass, and just doing the right things on the basketball floor, working hard. And that's what Kawhi Leonard does every time he steps on the floor. He might not be the most vocal leader. He might not be the galvanizer that some other greats are, but he leads by example. And he goes out there and competes every single time. There's almost never a game where Kawhi Leonard does not compete. The only thing that annoys me is when other guys aren't competing, he doesn't really seem like he looks a little annoyed, but he doesn't speak up like that. Not in front of us, not when the cameras are on or in the arena, maybe in the locker room, but I don't know if he's that type of guy. He's very competitive, but he's more easygoing, it seems like. He's an introvert that leads by example. And the only guy that we really have that's that kind of galvanizer, that kind of communicator is Westbrook, and he doesn't really get the minutes. This is not really a Westbrook team anymore. We've catered to James Harden style. So we need to inspire, I guess our best players, I should say, need to inspire by performing. And Kawhi Leonard closed the game out so strong. 9 points in the fourth quarter, but 2 and 1s to close the game and a block on Kelly Oubre Jr. 10 points in the fourth quarter. Just an amazing closing job from him. And then Paul George, who I thought really took over that fourth for us. And when I say really took over, I don't mean like he was just killing and there was nothing they could do about it. But Tyrese Maxey had his 10 points. Paul George had 11 for us. We won the game. PG was just one of the best versions of himself that he could be in that fourth quarter. But let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk about the sequence of the game because I love doing that. I just feel like it's a story to be told. So we played the Philadelphia 76ers recently. That's another vlog that's on the channel that I really encourage you checking out. It doesn't have as many views as most vlogs this season, but it was really interesting because of the amount of Sixers fans that came. You saw Tyrese Maxey going to work, and he's a budding star in the NBA. The way that they were treating James Harden, that section of Philly fans, it's a very interesting video. And I interviewed some after the game, and I thought it was great. So check that out. But we struggled to guard Maxey. We struggled to guard in general. To start this game, we actually had Kawhi Leonard start each half, actually. No, I'm sorry, just the game. Kawhi Leonard on Tyrese Maxey, Terrence Mann on Kyle Lowry, who didn't play against us the other day, James Harden on Kelly Oubre, Zoo on Mo Bamba, and PG on Tobias. Now, we're obviously switching 1 through 4. On the other side, and have Zoo in drop coverage. The other side, Oubre is on James Harden, Tobias on Kawhi, which we saw in the other game. Lowry on Paul George. I know, I just said that. Bamba on Zoo, and then Maxey on T. So, boos for Harden, inevitable, right? And he started out pretty rough. Missed the first 2 threes that he took, and he stepped out of bounds. But from the get-go, he was making good passes, whether it be in the pick and roll or just looking to be a bit more aggressive than he has been recently offensively and drawing a second defender whether he was on the drive or threatening the drive when he was doing his little tween and the defense starts loading up. And also just making the right pass in transition situations and just finding the open man. Entry passes, the whole 9 yards. He was doing it from the get-go. And I saw a stat that we're 20-4 when James has 10-plus assists, make that 21-4. So clearly, that is not a result of saying that James ball hogs. It's a result of when he is creating advantages due to him being aggressive one-on-one, that's when things start opening up and we get higher quality looks. And a lot of that is him getting by guys and what kind of defensive teams he's playing against. Because I've been saying it all year, and I've said it since last playoffs. Against the elites, I don't trust him to consistently create good looks because he's not going to be creating the same advantages one-on-one into the pick and roll when it gets to the last 8 standing. But we have a lot of time till then, and we need to build momentum up. So he looked a little bit better tonight, and we're maybe hopefully starting to trend in the direction where he can get by guys again, and he's starting to create great looks consistently. And also being able to score 20-plus points when we need it. This is a guy that we consider a star caliber player. Now, Paul George's defense in the first quarter was absolute trash. He got scored on twice, and he got blown by very easily once. I was thinking to myself after the first make or two, I was like, oh, well, he's not playing that bad of defense. But I think it's because Paul George is just so tall and long that he can put a decent contest in. But, like, when he's not actually sitting in a stance and moving his feet and looking like the Paul George that I know he can look like, he's just being lazy, in my opinion. And that's exactly what you saw in that first quarter. It was pathetic. And then he had Kyle Lowry on him, and he wasn't taking advantage. He was facing up, catching the ball way too far away. There was one time where he got the ball and he turned and faced and shot right over the top from like 16 feet. But again, I'd like to see him kind of try to work his way in a little bit closer to the basket. Just complete settle jobs by a guy who has Kyle Lowry guarding him, an old Kyle Lowry. I understand Kyle Lowry's strong, but like, really, dude? That's the type of shit that pisses me off. And then in addition to that, Kawhi was making bad decisions in isolation in the first quarter, not taking smart shots, waiting too long when he caught the ball, so the defense was getting set and loading up. And there were one or two shots where I was like, dude, either work your way in closer with your back to the basket instead of just turning from 16 feet away with a hand in your face, or move the ball quicker, get into your stuff quicker. There was one time after that where it was almost like he heard what I was saying and he turned quickly baseline and got a layup and missed. And that's when I was like, what the hell is going on here? So that was happening. And then as I said, we could not guard. Paul George couldn't guard in the first quarter. Nobody was really guarding that well. So we went to a 2-3 at one point, and that looked okay. So the first quarter was kind of a disaster. And by the way, Mason Plumlee played in this game, not Daniel Tice. Plumlee was in a high drop versus Maxey. I don't really have much of a comment on Mason. Let's see what he finished with in the game. He played 7 minutes only, had 1 point and 3 boards, didn't take a shot. So his point came from the foul line. So he was whatever. He was forgettable. Not much to say about him. As far as someone that played actually well in the first quarter, Terrence Mann. I thought he had a very solid game, even though in the fourth quarter, I don't even remember him playing much besides just a couple of possessions defensively at the end. Yeah, 7 seconds. We went with Amir Coffey instead, which I have no problem with. I actually think Terrence was the better player in this game, but I have no issue with Amir closing the game when we win the game. But I thought Terrence had a very good approach in this game, shooting his open shots, attacking closeouts well, just looking to be more aggressive. And the fact that we started Kawhi Leonard on Maxey, I kind of glossed over that, but the fact that we started Kawhi on Maxey showed that we're like, okay, enough's enough. Let's have our best point of attack guy guard their best player. So I like that approach. Of course, naturally, the Sixers are going to look to put somebody else in the action and get Kawhi switched off of Maxey, which they did. But I just like that level of, okay, we're going to try it. Now, and when we get to the playoffs, and I've been saying this for a couple of episodes now on Locked On, we can't just switch 1 through 4 like that. Like, we can't switch James Harden onto very good players in the playoffs. I'm sorry. We got to hedge and recover because we're just going to have to give something up, and I'd rather it just not be the best player against James Harden one-on-one. Like, I think he's going to step up defensively, but we've seen it year after year in the playoffs. Like, don't make me rely on James Harden getting picked on one-on-one and standing up to the task. I just don't think in the playoffs at this age he's going to be able to stay in front of guys like that. So that's just my opinion on that. But Terrence, made 2 left corner threes in the first quarter. We were down by as many as 13 in the first, and we're down 30-18 after 1. When Russell Westbrook came in, he was guarding Tyrese Maxey. I thought he did a pretty good job of getting to the basket and putting some pressure on their defense, as he always does. But he had a lot of missed layups and some reckless shots. There was one time where it looked like we were running a little split action ourselves. We were throwing it into Russ, and we're setting a couple of screens for Norm to come off. And instead, he turned and faced against Nico, who had sagged off of him a little bit, and he shot like an 18-footer and airballed long. So I thought Russ made some very questionable decisions as per usual at times. And I thought he did put good pressure on the defense. Like, that's one thing I love about him. But, 6 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, just 1 turnover, shot 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, 2 for 2 from the line. 17 minutes. I mean, I just don't have much to say about him. I don't think he was that great. I think he was a little erratic. Wasn't really his game. And it's like, these first 2 games with Russ back, it's like nothing has changed not since he's come back, but since he was healthy. Comes off the bench. Some games it's going for him when he's going to the basket. He'll always get to the basket, but will he finish? Will he be generating good shots for the team and not just kind of going into guys and throwing stuff up? That's inconsistent. And I think, again, the only way we're going to get the best version of Westbrook this season was to have him have the starting point guard position and live with the mistakes that he made, but hope that the pros would outweigh the cons. to me, when we got him, that's what we should have gone for. We didn't want to do that because for obvious reason, we didn't trust him. We bring in James Harden. And now I just don't think Westbrook is a very good version of himself. I think he comes in, he tries to do things, and a lot of times he's pressing a little too hard. It's kind of like what he was on with the Lakers. But he's going to have some good games, and I think he's going to be useful down the line. I just think when you have a championship team, a lot of things have to be perfect. And I don't think Russ is maximizing this role. And I think that's partially on him, not being a very versatile player, easy to adjust in different positions. So you have to cater to him so much. He and Harden both. And I think that's part of the reason why they're going to end up ringless. And I love Russell Westbrook. And I'm rooting for James Harden. He's on my team now. But it's just my honest truth. And on this platform, I'm not afraid to say shit. This is my channel. And I don't need to. I know my fans are not just a bunch of Stan losers in the comments. Not to say that Locked On's fans are. But there's a lot of Stans that comment on the Clippers Locked On Clips page. This is my channel. You guys know ball. And you know that Russell Westbrook and James Harden love him to death. But they're their own worst enemy a lot of times. Let's talk about the second quarter when the Clippers started looking like a serious basketball team, except for the fact that we had PJ Tucker at the 5 to start it. And, yeah. Second half, we didn't play PJ Tucker, and we won the game. I think we need to stop with this pity party shit when it comes to PJ Tucker. He's had a decent run of looking serviceable, and that's being generous. I don't think he's even serviceable at the highest level. He's serviceable for our team that's losing left and right. So, he is not a guy that we should be giving rotation minutes to in the playoffs unless we are playing against the Pelicans or in a situation where we just need another big body to go absorb some fouls and take some hits. Maybe against Jokic, we might need someone to just try to get low and get under him and frustrate him. But other than that, we play OKC, we play Sacramento, we play Phoenix. We don't need PJ Tucker to play minutes. I'm sorry. He's not it on either end, especially not at the small ball 5. I just don't like it. We don't have this switch everything personnel that we think we still have. We don't have anymore. We don't have it without Batum and Rocco. I think those two guys were very big when it came to the switch everything, particularly Nico, because Rocco, he didn't really get big minutes for us in important games. I think also, everyone's going to hate me saying this is stupid, but it's just outdated now. He's outdated. Is Marcus Morris, when we beat the Jazz, he was on the floor for those switch everything units. And he's no longer in the fray. And he's no longer that same version himself. That's why we traded him. So we just don't have the same switch everything personnel. I think we're a little naive when it comes to that. So, and how easily we give up switches too. But as I said, in the second quarter, we started looking like a serious basketball team. We were down by 14 and went on a 14-5 run. And it started for me with Paul George just locking in more defensively. He had this one nice block that led to a transition opportunity. He actually didn't score in the second quarter. That's the funniest part. But he had 4 rebounds and 2 assists and a block. And I just liked his general body language and attitude and just the way he started playing in that second. And it was one play where he drove, found Zoo underneath for a bucket. And I just loved his aggression taking it to the rim. And also James Harden. I think James Harden in that first half was our best player. In the second quarter, he played the entire quarter, had 9 points, a rebound, 3 assists, a steal, and a block on 3 for 5 shooting and 2 for 3 from deep. So I thought he made some really good reads, and he had 2 blow-bys, one on Nico and one on Tobias, who aren't terrible defenders, especially Nico. So I'm not saying his burst is fully back to that December and January, but that's closer to it, and that's a great sign. That's a really great sign because we're going to need him to get downhill a little bit for us. And I thought he did a good job of finding guys for open shots, and somebody that was making shots was Amir Coffey. Hit 2 threes in the first half and 3 in the game. 10 points for Amir, 3 assists, 1 steal on 3 for 5 shooting, and all those shots were threes. 1 for 2 from the foul line. 60% from 3? We'll take that. And it's been big because Amir, since the All-Star break, has been a little pedestrian for me. Not really scoring much. Defensively, he's been a little bit weaker than pre-All-Star break, in my opinion. But talk about making use of his 22 minutes. And we're going to be talking about what he did more of defensively late in the fourth quarter. But was good to see him knock down some shots. Apologies, folks. Let's see the comments rolling in. Oh, I gotta get a drink of water. All right. Where are we at? Okay. James Harden, also, as I said, getting in on the act scoring-wise, got an and one, hit a three. And one of the major reasons why we were staying in the game was that the Sixers, they had 9 turnovers at halftime, and they were getting a little careless with the ball. And I thought part of that was our defensive improvement in the second quarter. And again, Kawhi Leonard, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but defensively, he's still sound. He's still playing good 1v1 defense. But Tyrese Maxey, man, that dude is a problem. And I can't wait to watch him in the playoffs because his growth has been something. He's so fast off the bounce. I mean, it's just unbelievable how quick he is with the ball. Such a great finisher. He's got that step back three, and he's picked up a lot of stuff from James Harden with some of those side steps, those step backs, the extra step back, which again used to be a travel back in the day. And people say everyone's more skilled now because people can use that move. That was not a thing in the past. But I just want to make sure you guys are educated on that. But overall, the fact that we were only down by 4 at the half, despite Kawhi and PG having, let's see, a combined 6 points at halftime, and we were only down by 4, that's a testament to James, to Terrence, to Amir. And the funny part is Norman Powell, he only had 2 points as well. It was really Terrence with 10, Harden with 11, and yet Amir with 6, 46-50 at half. So again, our defense definitely did help that out. Zubats, I remember did we go small in that second quarter? Nah, we didn't. We didn't go small. I just wanted to check Zubats' minutes in the second quarter. Let's see it. 7 minutes, 52 seconds. Okay, sounds about right. Third quarter. This is where, let me see who won that second. So Clippers won the second quarter 28-20. So you'll take that all day long. Third quarter, we broke even, 29-29. Mo Bamba was in drop coverage for them. Felt like we didn't attack him too much. And one adjustment that we made in the third was that Terrence Mann started face guarding Tyrese Maxey. I thought he actually did a decent job. We went up 56-55 after PG hit his second three of the quarter. And PG really found his three ball in the second half. He had 4 threes in the second half, which was big time for us. Absolutely big time. But the funny part is they responded to that when we took the lead for the first time in the game, 56-55, really well with, again, that dude, Tyrese Maxey, finding a way to get the favorable matchups that he wanted. Again, James Harden's defense, besides like 1 or 2 contests and a strip, he was horrendous. Like he can't guard the ball. When they put him in pick and roll, he's completely taken out on screens. He just does not sit in any sort of defensive stance. He's all hands on defense. And when they allow him to hand check, is the only time he has a chance. He has no shot at guarding Tyrese Maxey. And I don't even know why we let him switch onto him. But there was one time where in that third quarter, after we took that 56-55 lead, James passed up a 3 and a floater and then got blown by Maxey on the other end. And we called a timeout. They had a 6-0 run to make it 61-56. But James still had a double-double through 3 quarters. And again, 10-plus assists. James Harden, and when James has 10-plus assists, we're 20-4. And again, 21-4 after tonight. The one thing I'll say about James, even though I thought he played really well, was still too much dribbling for me. A lot of times, when we're getting into our stuff, when he's waiting for a screen to come, just a lot of ball pounding. We just got to get into our stuff quicker and just be a little more deliberate with his dribbles. But do I expect James Harden to change his ways? Fuck no. Not after all these years. Kawhi was continuing to brick everything, by the way, everything. But finally, he got 2 buckets on a fast break. One that he was hit by Harden on. The other one where he got a clean cookies steal, went all the way for a dunk. But at that point, Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, they really were helping us stay in the game. Terrence Mann had 4 points in the third, but in the game, he just had a very solid output. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 2 of those offensive, just 1 turnover, 5 for 10 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, 3 for 3 from 2, 2 for 2 from the line. So very solid game for Terrence, who is looking better offensively. So we had 6 guys in double figures. The big 3, Zubats, Norm, and Amir. And that's actually now is a good time to mention Norman Powell, who started to get going in the second half. He had, let's see how many of his points he had in the second half. 9. 9 of his 11 points came in the second half. He did a pretty good job of getting downhill. And Norm, always ready to attack closeouts and get to the basket. 3 for 3 in the fourth quarter. And he, along with Amir and Paul George, played the entire fourth quarter. And I liked how Ty Lue put Kawhi back in with 9 minutes to go in the game. That's something that you're starting to see. He's probably adjusting as we're getting closer to the playoffs. Kawhi's rest in the beginning of the fourth, sometimes it's lasted 5-6 minutes. Now he's going to start cutting it down to maybe 2 to 3 minutes until he comes back in the fourth. 2 to 3 minutes rest before he comes back in to close the game. Zoo and Harden, I wanted to check if they played the whole third because it felt like they did. Zoo did, and Harden played 11 minutes and 34 seconds. So basically the whole thing. Terrence, 11 minutes in the third, didn't really play in the fourth. As I said, we broke even in the third, so we were down by 4 going into the fourth, even though we had taken the lead in the third. And the fourth was super interesting. Philly was switching the 3-5 pick and roll with Reed and Tobias Harris. So when Paul George was being guarded by Tobias, asked Plumlee to set the screen, they would switch that. Kawhi comes in for Plumlee at the 9-minute mark of the fourth quarter, and we go small with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell, Amir Coffey, and Harden. And Tyrese Maxey started causing problems. He was getting Norman and Harden on switches and was just abusing them and getting to the lane wherever he wanted. But on the other side, they were allowing Tyrese Maxey to guard Paul George, and I loved how aggressive PG was being. He was getting us good shots, and he was scoring himself. Even got a nice, I think it was an and one in that fourth quarter going to the basket. So loved what I was seeing from PG and how aggressive he was. Then the Sixers matched our small ball with Nico playing, and it was so good to see Nico again. He almost burned us. But they had Nico out there, Tobias, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, and I believe the fifth guy was Buddy Hield that they had out there, and they were switching everything. They had a little bit of Paul Reed in there as well. Let's see. Paul Reed played, 21 minutes, so they used him in kind of switch schemes very frequently. But then we made an adjustment. We started blitzing Maxey and just doubling every time he got the ball. Sometimes soft doubles, so not fully just like running at him so he couldn't turn the corner, but just kind of having one guy right behind the primary defender, which was Amir Coffey, who I thought was doing a pretty good job containing. And, we did get burned at times when this ball was swung and they were getting sometimes offensive rebounds or knocking down open threes. Nico got a couple of corner threes, but it was a good adjustment to just get the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands, because that dude is a real problem. And I'm telling you, this team, when they get Embiid back, they're going to be dangerous. Now, the question is, can Embiid work his way back into form? That remains to be seen. But fourth quarter, Russell Westbrook only played 4 minutes, 26 seconds, had 2 points, was 0 for 2. Both those points came from the line. We didn't play Zubats 1 second in the fourth. It was small ball. And I think it was a good adjustment and something you'll probably start to see coming up, that Ty Lue is going to start going small in second half stretches, which kind of was the formula in 2021. But these last couple of games, there have been times where he's gone small ball for extended stretches, not played a backup big at all in the second half. It's just, we got to be smart about that stuff. Super chat from Daniel Berry. Shout out to Daniel Berry. Says, nice win, Clippers. And that's great timing because we're about to talk about what got us over the hump. It was neck and neck for so long in that fourth. As I said, huge PG fourth quarter, huge, with 11 points on 4 of 8 shooting and 2 for 4 from 3 in that fourth. Also 5 rebounds, and he had this one offensive rebound where he just That was playoff P. Yeah, the good kind. Came out of nowhere to snatch that. Wasn't I wanted more rebound. Haven't had one of those kind of plays from him in a while. And I love the way he was defending. Speaking of the way he was defending, Kawhi Leonard, despite the fact that he was shooting like trash, he was guarding. He was guarding. He's always in tune defensively. And this was a huge play when Amir Coffey was in the short roll after a screen he set for, I believe, Paul George. And he found Kawhi, who had a very timely cut for an and one. And that was after the Kelly Oubre out of bounds that was reviewed. Great job by Paul George to make a play on the ball. And we went up. What a great cut that was from Kawhi. And a good sense of patience by Amir Coffey. He stopped, pivoted, and turned because he drew 3 defenders. And it was partially because the Sixers switched, but I think they were a little confused. Nico was a step behind. And it was a really nice pass from Paul George over the top. I really hope it was Paul George and not James Harden. I'm saying it wrong because James Harden just made a lot of great passes in this game. I don't want to take anything away from him. I just remember that it was Kawhi Leonard, but you know what? I'm going to check right now because it was Paul George. Okay, cool. Yeah, solid entry pass by PG. Great and one. But the crazy part is they answered back with that Buddy Hield 3. And I was like, oh my God, maybe we're not going to get it done. And then Kelly Oubre commits one of the stupidest plays I've seen in a while, where Kawhi Leonard does a great job attacking a closeout. We're going to tie the game with a dunk because the paint was wide open. There was no one there. We had a 5-out kind of unit in there. And Kelly Oubre tries to be a hero and get a block and slaps down on Kawhi. And he has an unbelievable lefty finish. Especially knowing who you're slapping down against. It's just a lack of discipline in that moment. You want to get the block. You want to win the game. You want to make the big play. Thing is, you let Kawhi score. It's a tie game, and you have the ball at home with the last shot to win it. Kelly Oubre. Let me tell you something about Kelly Oubre. I think he's a talented player. I'm a fan of his. He's a great athlete. He's pretty skilled. There's a reason the Warriors didn't want him. He plays dumb basketball. What's the most relevant role that he's had on a good team? That Wizards team that when he ran up on Kelly Olynyk? Is that the most relevant team that he had? It was Kelly Olynyk, right? That he ran up on in 2017? I'm pretty sure it was. Mods, check that for me. But I believe it was. He's not a very high IQ player, in my opinion. He was on that Phoenix team in the bubble, and then he left. They got rid of him, right? Went to Charlotte. Didn't pan out in Golden State. He was on that 2021 Warriors team. He's not usually on good teams. As much as I hate to say, yeah, after that Warriors season, he doesn't have that much experience playing playoff basketball. He played playoff basketball with the 2016 Wizards. The 2017 Wizards, as I mentioned, 2018 Wizards. And then I don't think he's played in a playoff game since, but he will this year. And I think he's having a good year. He's averaging 15 points on a good team, but his three-point percentage is 30, just trash. So, stupid play, point blank. But how about Kawhi? What a finish. What an absolute great finish. Makes the free throw, and then he blocks Kelly Oubre. Now, I thought it was pretty funny how Amir Coffey got called for that forearm hand check foul. And then Kawhi did kind of the similar thing to Oubre. Because what he did was that's why hand checking is like a real thing, is when he did that. And they don't usually call hand checking at the end of games, though, even in this era. But he puts a hand on him to just take him further wide. He takes the angle to the basket away from him, the lane, pushing him further wide so then he can make up ground and get a block. They don't call it. It's a clean block up top. Great defensive play. And then it was a jump. Yeah, they called it jump ball. They win the tap. And Kelly Oubre, that's when Kelly Oubre got fouled by PG. They said it was a foul after the game. It doesn't matter. We'll take it. Amazing way to close the game and win it. Kawhi Leonard. That's the beauty of Kawhi. He can shoot like trash, but he does all the right things on the basketball court to help you win. But I think it's just a good game from our big three to hopefully get back on track. I'm not going to go crazy about this, but it's hopefully our game in the right direction. Let's read the lines because I've already gone on too long about this game, but it's great for us to get back to winning ways and to get the win for James because he was, getting the booze all night. 33-28 fourth quarter in favor of us. We win at 108 to 107 to break the little 2-game losing skid. We'll see. Orlando's going to be tough. That's our next game, and we haven't played them since the game that James Harden arrived to Staples Center when he got traded, and we smacked them. But we were rolling at that point. I'm feeling good. Let's read the lines first for the Philadelphia 76ers, the ones that matter. Cam Payne only played 4 minutes in this game and had a donut. Mo Bamba played 19 minutes as a starter, and he had a double-double. Didn't feel like that. 12 points, 11 boards, and 2 blocks on 5 for 8 shooting and 0 for 1 from 3. 2 for 2 from the line, so good for him. Then you had Paul Reed, B-Ball Paul. I'm a big fan of his, actually. 21 minutes, not a big fan, but I'm a fan of his. 21 minutes played for him. He had 5 points, 7 boards, 3 of those offensive, and 3 blocks. So solid output from him. And then you had Kyle Lowry, who started and played only 22 minutes. He had 7 points, an assist, and a steal on 2 for 4 shooting, and all those shots were threes. And then Buddy Hield, really good impact from him off the bench. 17 points and 3 rebounds on 7 for 11 shooting and 3 for 7 from 3 in 26 minutes. So instant offense, instant spacing, instant shooting. You know that's what you're going to get from Buddy Hield. And then Tobias Harris, he only played 26 minutes, which I found odd. 11 points, 5 rebounds on 4 for 7 shooting and 1 for 2 from 3. I don't know why he only played 26 minutes. That's weird. He only had 1 foul, too. He was a +6. So I wonder if that's being talked about in Sixers land. Kelly Oubre, Jesus Christ. I'm going to go with Nicholas Batum next, actually. 28 minutes played for Nico, had 9 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a block. And by the way, that was on James Harden when Harden got by him and got blocked. But Harden did have a nice steal on him late. Solid all-around game for Nico. Shot 50% from the field, and all those shots were threes. How many times did you hear me say that when Nico was with us? 3 for 6 from 3 in the field in 28 minutes. Solid game from him. This is where it gets interesting. Kelly Oubre played 38 minutes. He had 17 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 3 turnovers on 6 for 17 shooting and 0 for 3 from deep, 5 for 5 from the line. I don't know why he got so many minutes over Tobias. He wasn't that great. Then Maxey was a beast. 26 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. I think he's really improved defensively. He moves his feet, takes pride every time I watch him. So he is small. He's a little undersized. Yeah, he can't guard Paul George one-on-one, but I don't see a bad defender there personally. 26, 7, and 8. 9 for 20 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, 5 for 6 from the line. Sixers shot 48% from the field, 39% from 3, and 84% from the line. So they actually shot really well overall. But we shot 8 more times than them and a free throw more. And that's because we took better care of the ball. They had 12 turnovers. We had 8 turnovers. So under 10 turnovers is always a great thing. Clippers went 10 deep. PJ Tucker played 3 minutes. He didn't play in the second half, which is definitely one of the reasons we won. Had a donut across the board with the only category he registered in was a foul, and he was 0 for 1. That shot being a 3 in just 3 minutes. I talked about Mason Plumlee, only played 7 minutes, had a point and 3 boards, didn't even get a shot off. Talked about Russ's stat line. Don't think Russ had a great game. Amir Coffey, awesome game, 22 minutes, 10 points, 3 for 5 from 3. Those were all his shots. Norm Powell, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal on 5 for 7 shooting and 1 for 2 from 3. So even in a quiet game, he still registers in double figures and efficiently. Got to love that about Norm. And then our starters, all of whom played over 26 minutes. Terrence, already mentioned him, 14 and 7 on 5 for 10 shooting and 2 for 7 from 3. Zubats, 27 minutes, 11 points, only 4 rebounds, 1 steal and a block. Thought he was okay. I thought he was pretty good offensively. Defensively in the rebounding, not as great. But his touch around the basket, when he catches the ball, middle of the key or closer to the basket, he is a problem. And we got to start utilizing that more, especially as the playoffs roll around. 5 for 7, you'll take that. And then the big 3. James Harden played the most minutes, 39, and I thought he was arguably the player of the game. I'd put him second, though. 16 points, 5 boards, 14 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Just 1 turnover. So 14 assists to 1 turnover was getting us better looks in the pick and roll than normal because he was getting the step on guys a little more. And he still didn't shoot that great, though. That's the funny part. 6 for 15 from the field, 3 for 9 from three. But I thought he was good. It was his best game, in my opinion, since the Wizards game where he made those 5 threes in the first half. But you can argue that triple-double game he had against Chicago was as good or better. Kawhi Leonard, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. I think him having such a tough shooting game bodes well for the Orlando game. I think he's going to shoot better then. But 7 for 19 from the field, 0 for 3 from deep. He's really been cold from 3 recently, so I hope he's coming back, his 3-ball. 3 for 4 from the line. We didn't shoot very well from the foul line in this one, 14 for 20. And we shot 44% from the field, but we shot 39% from 3, which was big. Paul George, 22 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a block, 2 turnovers, 7 for 18 shooting. So he didn't even shoot that great, but 5 for 8 from 3. So he actually had a good night shooting from 3. Thought he was more aggressive. 4 assists, I think, is a good representation of that. And you look at Kawhi and Paul George, they combined for 19 boards. You're going to need that trench work in the playoffs. So big win and a step in the right direction, and it's all about the stars. It really is. Now, let's talk about the Lakers, who have been playing red-hot basketball. I mean, Jesus Christ. This game, coming off of that insane game against the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you want to hear about my thoughts on that Bucks-Laker game, check out the latest episode of Basketball on Figueroa with me and Edwin. I timestamped all of the games that we talked about so you can see where we talked about each game. But let's talk about this Laker game, right? I didn't watch it with the same magnifying glass. I, in fact, missed the first quarter where the Lakers were up 37-36. But the Lakers won every quarter after that and scored 30-plus points in every quarter after that. And right now, what you're seeing the last couple of weeks is the Lakers' offense is really starting to hum. And that slowly began when they put Reeves and D'Angelo Russell back in the starting lineup together with LeBron, because what it does is it really, if you look at this Laker team, they actually don't have the best defensive personnel. I think they're athletic and they have size, but I don't think they have that many great defenders. And considering Jared Vanderbilt, who's one of, if not their best defender outside of Anthony Davis, has been out for the majority of the year, they honestly should lean offense first. And that's kind of what they've done. And when you start a lineup of Reeves, D'Lo, LeBron, well, LeBron's obviously going to start, but mainly Reeves and D'Lo alongside LeBron and AD, that's offense first. When you look at the 4 best players in the Lakers, 3 of their best attributes, 3 of those 4, their best attribute is offense. Reeves, LeBron, D'Lo. AD, one of, if not the best, two-way player in the league. So you lead into that. Now you're starting to see much more, like a high volume of great open threes that the Lakers are generating every single game and making a lot more. Like they're having so many better 3-point shooting nights because of D'Lo's ability to get hot, his ability to hit threes. And then you have Rui Hachimura starting, who's been playing at such a high level, in my opinion. He's seeing maybe his best regular season stretch as a Laker in this time that he's replaced Taurean Prince in the starting lineup. And I know every Laker fan is saying, how come Ham didn't realize this earlier and this and that? And you know what? Those complaints are valid. You can make an argument that if Darvin Ham had been a little bit sharper with those decisions, never moving D'Lo to the bench, taking Taurean Prince out of the starting lineup earlier, that the Lakers would be in like the 7 or 8 seed. I don't believe that the Lakers would be like 5 or maybe 6, maybe 5 where I predicted them to be before the season started. I said they were going to be the 5 seed. So at most 5, but top 4, I don't think that's up to him. I think that the team is like LeBron is your second best player. And I think when Anthony Davis is your best player, I don't know if you're going to be a top 3 seed, as fucked up as that sounds. LeBron's going to miss games, LeBron's going to miss games. And when you look at the teams that are going to finish top 3 this West, Denver, OKC, and Minnesota, their best players are like mainly in their primes or young. OKC, they're young. Minnesota, they're in their prime. But when you talk about Towns and Gobert, but Edwards is younger than me. And then Denver are in their smack dab primes. Lakers, Clippers, Phoenix, Golden State. It's harder in the regular season. It's not the same LeBron, Steph, KD, even Kawhi of 2019 that will, be so good in the regular season. I think they're going to miss their games. I think they got to manage their bodies in ways. So that's something. But the Lakers are playing really good basketball lately. And when you have LeBron, Reeves, and D'Lo, three guys that can generate good shots with the team, you're going to get good looks. And, this is a shorthanded Memphis team, but you didn't have AD. And that's very evident when you allow 124 points to a Memphis Grizzlies team that does not have John Morant and is basically tanking. Doesn't have Marcus Smart either. But I want to say they started Scottie Pippen Jr., by the way. Scottie Pippen Jr., Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5, Santi Aldama, G.G. Jackson. But it's good to see Brandon Clark back. I don't know how many games he's been back for. I think this might only be his second game back. It's his third game back. Okay, so good to see Brandon Clark. He got 21 minutes in this game, which was his most yet. Had 6 points and 5 rebounds and was a plus 15. So good to see BC back. I'm a fan of BC, even though I hate the Teddy Bears. Jake Romeo Lavia. That dude, he was shooting lights out. He was shooting absolutely lights out. 9 for 14 from the field, 7 for 9 from 3. That was the Grizzlies' little fake run. The Lakers were in control. They were up by 8 at the half, 10 after the end of the third, but they were up by 27 at one point. And I thought LeBron was just pretty masterful overall. And by the way, we got a super chat now from Jordan Francis. Thank you, Jordan. He says, what a comeback by the Clippers today. Let's go Clippers. But also, I'm a diehard Chiefs fan too. Much respect to you and love your content. Appreciate you, Jordan. Respect to your Chiefs, Super Bowl champions back-to-back. Only time I've ever seen that in my time watching football. But anyway, the Lakers. LeBron, I thought he was so masterful tonight, picking the defense apart and pick and roll, and was so good one-on-one. He was in his bag with that turn over the right shoulder jump shot that he's gotten so much better at the last 8 years. And he was just putting on a clinic on these young guys, these guys that try to body him up in the post and he spins off of them. And it's amazing how much better LeBron's gone in the post over the last decade or so, after 2011 mainly, because he got humbled so bad. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons. In 2012, LeBron took that next leap. He got better in the post. He got better in the mid-range. His footwork got better. Went to Hakeem in the summer, went in the lab. We'll see if that works out for Giannis, but I didn't see much of that against the Lakers the other night. But I thought it was a good enough defensive effort by the Lakers to get the job done. But mainly like LeBron, for example, I thought he was pretty exceptional. He had a triple-double. 23 points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists, and a steal. Looked very fresh after the rest he had against Milwaukee. He did have 4 turnovers, though, but was 8 for 14 from the field. Only shot 1 3, which I like. 7 for 11 from the foul line. Jeez, I'm dehydrated. Throat's dry. Hold on one sec. But it just felt like every time, outside of LeBron, who was awesome, felt like every time he played 35 minutes, by the way. But every time the Lakers needed some big shot, Rui Hachimura would come through. He had 32 and 10. 32 and 10. He was a plus 35, and LeBron was a plus 33, and Reeves was a plus 31. Reeves, by the way, who was a little more quiet, still had a double-double with 13 and 11. That's 11 assists. 4 for 12 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. And it's funny because LeBron and Reeves combined for 0 for 5 from 3, but the Lakers shot 18 for 33 from deep, 56% from the field, 54.5% from 3, and then 80% from the line. I mean, they've just had games recently where they've been hitting from 3. Rui Hachimura went with that 32 and 10 I mentioned and 2 blocks, by the way, 11 for 14 from the field, 7 for 8 from 3, 7 for 8. He was on fire. And I thought Jackson Hayes, of course, he's always going to foul a ton, but his activity was really good. 14.7 rebounds, setting solid screens, rolling to the basket hard, 6 for 7 from the field for Jackson Hayes. So a little poor man's DeAndre Jordan kind of stuff. Got a block, got a steal, made both his free throws. Then you have D'Lo. Actually, I'm going to mention Taurean Prince and Spencer Dinwiddie. They were both in double figures off the bench. Again, I think Taurean Prince off the bench is much better. 15 points on 80% shooting from the field and 75 from three. 4 for 5 from the field, 3 for 4 from three, 4 for 6 from the foul line in 23 minutes. So Taurean Prince coming in and contributing. And then you had Cam Reddish only played 10 minutes. So quieter for him, and he hasn't been getting as many minutes lately. Let me know what you think of that in the comments, Laker fans. Harry Giles played a little bit without AD, 5 minutes, but I didn't really pay attention much in those minutes, not going to lie. It was 0 for 3, had a donut, and it was a -12. Cam Reddish was a -17. But so Spencer Dinwiddie, 4 for 7 from the field, 14 points, 7 boards. So good to see that from him, a steal and a block. 4 for 7 from the field and 3 for 4 from three. So an efficient game from Spencer, 3 for 3 from the line. You like to see that because he has been struggling lately as a Laker. And then D'Lo, 23 points, 2 boards, 4 assists, a steal. Did turn the ball over 4 times, though. 7 for 16 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3. And those transition threes, those wing threes, just absolute killers for other teams. Just crushes momentum and builds a lot of momentum for the Lakers. So a win's a win. Lakers are 41-32 now. And let me just look at the way they've been playing and winning a lot of games recently. Let's start with since February. Since that Boston game, it feels like it's really turned. And it was funny because I was right about to go live and be like, the Lakers are a joke. They're not taking the season seriously. They're load managing. They think they can just waltz into the playoffs at whatever seed and win this thing. But ever since then, they have been on somewhat of a tear. And they went 3-0 there. They had that game they lost to Denver. That was a very valiant effort. Then they rattled off another 3-game winning streak. Lost that game to Golden State where LeBron load managed after the All-Star break. Wow. They lost at Phoenix, beat my Clippers, lost to Denver again, lost to Sacramento. They never beat Sacramento, huh? And then they lost 2 games in a row at Sacramento and then against Golden State when AD got injured. Then now they've won 5 games on the spin. So they're 17-7, I believe, in their last 24 games. Yeah, 17-7. That's about right. They're playing good ball. Let's see when the last game because I missed the Golden State game. I'm pretty sure I missed the Sacramento game. I may have watched a little bit of the Sacramento game. But the last Laker game that I actually paid attention and watched that they lost was against Denver on February 8th. So every other game I've watched, they've won. So maybe I got to stop watching. But I cover the team on this on Dime Dropper. I made a vow that for the foreseeable future, when I started my channel, I would be covering both LA teams on a consistent basis. The next Laker game is on Friday at Indiana. That'll be fun. See how that goes. But that's for me in this one, guys. Did I forget anybody for the Lakers? I don't think so. They're playing good ball. I don't know what else you want me to say. But they're in 9th place. So let's look at the standings before we go to the live chat. The Celtics are on the cusp of a 60-win season. That is always special. When you have a 60-win team, you got to acknowledge it. And it's much harder today's game with the load management and the parity in the league. But they're 9-1 in their last 10. And it just feels like a big deal when they lose. And when you're really good, when it's a big deal every time you lose. Glenn Rivers looks like he's kind of gotten the ship steadied in Milwaukee. They look like they're going to finish second, just like I predicted before the season. So good for them. They're still probably the biggest threat, I'd say, to beat Boston. Then I said the Cavs would finish third, but that injury to Donovan Mitchell has really hampered them lately. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They're going to need him back ASAP. And the Knicks, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They're 8-2 in their last 10. OG's back. Now Mitchell Robinson is back. We thought he'd be out for the season. So all they need to come back is Randall. You had Brunson miss a little bit. That was a really big scare. The fact that he's now come back is huge. So the Knicks, they look like they're the best positioned team to get the 3 seed. I had them finishing 5th behind Philly and Cleveland before the season. And of course, Philly without Embiid, they're kind of out. So I think it looks like they're going to get 3rd. Cleveland in 4th. But Orlando's right on their tails. They've lost 2 games in a row, though, heading into this game against us on Friday, which hopefully we can make it 3. But they're an interesting proposition because they're very young. and they're doing great. They're 12 games above 500, which is even better than I expected they'd be. Then you have Indiana, who they got Pascal Siakam. They're definitely a better team with him, in my opinion. They don't have Benedict Mathurin right now, though, but they're clinging on to that 6th spot. But Miami has the same amount of losses. They just have 2 less games played, 2 less wins. So I think Miami, I would like for them to finish in the playoff spots, the top 6, because I just think that's more indicative of who's a better team. Because I don't think anybody could sit here and tell you that Indiana and Orlando are better than Miami come playoff time. Then the Sixers are only a game in the loss column back of Indiana. But by the way, Orlando is 3 games better in the loss column than the Pacers. So they look like they might finish top 5, which is amazing for them. And then it looks like the Bulls and the Hawks are going to be 9 and 10. They're going to be playing each other in the first game. That'll be a game of 2 mediocre teams. But despite my mom's Chicago roots of going to school there, I'm going to be rooting for Atlanta because I like DeJounte Murray and Trae Young as basketball stars in the league, and I think they deserve to beat that Bulls team. I think it'll be more of a disappointment for them season-wise if they just don't even win a postseason game at all. But they're not making the playoffs this year, Atlanta. The fact that they were worse than Indiana, worse than Orlando, got to really look at their roster in the summer, make some real changes, not have Clint Capella starting at center anymore. Maybe consider even bringing DeAndre Hunter off the bench, even though I think he's been playing better lately, but I'm not 100% sure of that. Jalen Johnson's very good. But if Trae Young's your best player, you're going to be like a play-in team. Like, that's the ceiling to me. You're not ever going back to the conference finals. And by the way, the Toronto Raptors have been mathematically eliminated from the season, so they're clearly in tank mode. They've lost 12 games in a row. Everyone's injured, so they're going for lottery balls. And Utah, wow, this is as of tonight. They've officially been eliminated as well. So it's just an 11-team race now. And the Houston Rockets have won 10 straight games. They're the hottest team in the NBA. It's amazing to see that. Denver lost to the Suns tonight, but they're still in first. And there's a 3-way tie in terms of 22 losses, top of the West, but the Nuggets have 51 wins and Minnesota and OKC have 50. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out to end the season. But the fact that Minnesota hasn't really fallen off without Cat is just a testament to how solid they are this season. And then OKC and Minnesota, I had them finishing 9th and 10th before the season. The fact that they've been so good, man, we got to really talk about them when we're doing playoff previews for them, because we're going to be doing that again. Check out my playoff previews from last season, by the way. They're all in the playlist of the playoffs last year to see how things aged, but we're going to be doing the same thing, and I'm going to try to get content creators from all the teams involved, so that'll be fun. Then you have the Clippers hanging on the 4th spot for dear life. Pelicans in 5th, only 1 game back in the loss column. Dallas just 2 in the loss column back, and then Sacramento and Phoenix 3 back. It's going to be an interesting race. Lakers are a game and a half back of Sacramento, so we'll see. But that's it for me in this one, guys. Thank you for listening. When am I going to go live next? I don't know about Friday. Like after the Lakers are playing against the Pacers and the Clippers are playing against Orlando. If I'm not doing anything at night, because I've been trying to stay home a little bit more lately, save some money instead of going out so much, I might go live. If I'm home, I'll go live. But I am not. Oh, wait, tomorrow's Thursday. There's no live tomorrow. Check out my basketball and Figueroa and my vlogs, though, guys. Those have been bangers. Please check them out. As far as if I'm going live on Friday. Yeah, I might go live on Friday. As of now, I don't think I have plans, but it's Friday and things come up, so we'll see. Now to the live subscribers waiting patiently in the chat. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 a dime. Peace.